Welcome back to Silverstone, everybody. We've got our second race coming up for you for the Macmillan 7 Racing UK Championship. But this grid is based on the finishing positions from earlier on today, albeit the top 10 get reversed in each one of the categories. So it will be Tom Greensall that will head towards pole position. Now, there are 6 cars that have been withdrawn following mechanical problems or incidents in race number 1 earlier on. So we won't see Fraser Riddington, Colin Lachlan, I should say. We won't see Scott Parker, Caroline Everett, Doug Christie or Greg Hyatt. They'll all be absent from this grid. So Tom Greensall lines up on pole position. Stuart Calder is alongside. Tom Heyman-Joyce and Adam White are there on row number 2, and it's Ben Winrow and Luke Bennett on row number 3. Gary Tootle and Rob Watts are there on 4, with row 5 being Lewis Tootle alongside the race winner from earlier on today, Anthony Barnes. Ian Cowley and Matt Reaver next up, ahead of Julian Carey and Matt Welsh, with Richard Borton and Ian Noble on row number 8. Tom Quarrendon and Adrian Fernandez are there on the next row, with row 10 being Matt Drew and Mark Stansfield. Watch out for him, as he had a retirement earlier on whilst was running beautifully well. Ross Oliphant and Mark Farmer are the last of the 420s. Then we move on to the 310s and the 270s. We've got, 4 270s earlier on. I didn't really allude to the fact that James McLaughlin won the 270 class earlier on, so I'll correct that now. So for the 310s and 270s, Simon Sharrock sits alongside Paul Setti, I should say. John Styring and Jamie Winrow row 2. Then it's David Yates and Rob Good ahead of row 4, which is Oliver Smith and Mark Roberts. Harry Eyre and James Wingfield are next up. James won the category earlier on, so of course he's got 10 places to climb. Then it's going to be Tim Steele and Paul Higginbottom, Anthony Tang and Paul Herndon, Rob Good and James McCullough, Jonathan Moore and Simon White. Then it is Merton Wood and Felix Baggett, Sam May and Michael O'Reilly at the tail end of the field. So we've just managed to get through the full grid. Already the lights are off on the safety car. So for this rolling start, we'll get things underway. Remember, the 420s go off first, and then hanging back in the background will be the silver car with its orange wheel arches of Simon Sharrock, because he is in reality on pole for the next batch of cars. It will go off, I don't know, probably about 30 seconds later, something like that it will be. So Tom Greensall at the wheel of the dark blue car with the white flashes. Number 23 sitting on pole position. It's the red and gold and white car of Stuart Calder alongside. Then it's light green and black for Tom Heyman-Joyce alongside the orange and black car of Adam White. That's the front couple of rows of the grid in terms of colours for the 420Rs. So 25 minutes on the clock. The Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, all 3.66 miles of it to stretch their legs. And are we going to see Anthony Barnes carve his way through and scoop up a double win? So lights are on the gantry. Nice, slow, steady pace from Tom Greensall and Stuart Calder. And when they get up towards the gantry, the lights will disappear out and we'll get round 9 of the championship underway. So lights go out, away go the 420s, up towards Copse Corner for the first time. Looks so Stuart Calder's got a good start. Can he sweep around the outside? He's going to try to sweep his way around the outside, and I think might just have his nose ahead by the time they come out of the corner. Anthony Barnes is already making progress in the red car with the Dayglow orange rollover hoop, but I think it's Stuart Calder that's going to lead as they head up towards Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. Yes, Stuart Calder leads the way for the 310s and 217s, which usually have their own separate grid and will do for the final rounds at Alton Park. They get going, and it's the polished aluminium car of Simon Sharrock with the orange wheel arches that was looking to try and take up the lead of the race in the 310s. Onto the hanger straight go the 420s for the first time. Tom Greensall trying to slipstream his way back past Stuart Calder for the lead of the race. Can the 23 make it stick? Yes, he can. Stuart Calder drops to second, and in third by the look of things, that was the car of Adam White that was there in third place, the orange and black car of Adam White. And the next one then will be Tom Heyman-Joyce, who is there in fourth. Anthony Barnes, is he going to make it to fourth? Well, he was in fifth, but he managed to sneak his way at the inside of Tom Heyman-Joyce heading in towards the first aspect of club. Is he going to be through? Not quite by the second aspect of it. No, he can't quite get the overlap on Tom Heyman-Joyce. So the green car with the black flashes still hangs on to what is fourth position. So along the Lewis Hamilton straight they'll go. Tom Greensall leading the way, and now up into second place comes Adam White up into second. Tom Heyman-Joyce is there in third for the lead of the 270Rs. That looks like that's David Yates that's already through and into the lead of the 270Rs. It is, yes. Simon Sharrock's there in second. Paul Setti's there in third place, and that is Jamie Winrow in the blue car with the red wheel arches to it. He's next up, sitting there in fourth position. There's contact, I'm afraid, and that is going to be Mark Farmer, former British GT racer, long-time racer in an Aston Martin that's going to retire. You can see wheel arch sitting in the middle of the track, exhaust sitting on the grass, Mark about to climb out of the car, and that is going to be retirement for him, I'm afraid. So hopefully that will be just covered by a localised yellow and they get the car out of harm's way. Now, Anthony Barnes already having made brilliant progress. He's up to 3rd position, the race 1 winner. There's a little bit of smoke there coming from somebody, and I have a feeling that was Rob Watts, the number 77 car, that has got a bit of smoke. It might just be a little bit of tyre rub, but we'll keep an eye on that. Leading the way is Adam White. It's Tom Greensall in 2nd place, but under attack from Anthony Barnes, who's there in 3rd position. Jamie Winrow gets a good run there. Sorry, Ben Winrow gets a good run in 4th position, but isn't going to be able to squeeze his way through just there. And for the 310s and 270s, it is David Yates that I think is going to lead this first lap of the race. There's another car that's come into the pit lane at the end of the lap as well, which is number 153, Matt Welsh. So he might have got tangled up with Mark Farmer possibly, and that's what's brought those two into the pit lane potentially. Mark Farmer's car being pushed out of harm's way by the marshals. So he is done for in this race, and Anthony Barnes I think has hit the front now. So the race 1 winner didn't take him long from 10th on the grid. What's that, a lap and a third, and he's up into the lead of the race at the wheel of the Team Parker Racing car. Adam White's there in 2nd position. Tom Greensall's there in 3rd, is that at this stage, but then locking the brakes, running wide, is Adam White. That's going to drop him down through the order. So past the exit of club, leading the way is Anthony Barnes, and that looks like that's Ben Winrow that's up into 2nd actually. Tom Greensall's down there into 3rd place. Mark Stansfield making good progress as well, just saw him gain a place there. Remember, he's come from down in 20th position on the grid. Where was he at the end of the first lap? How about 8th? So gained 12 positions on the first lap. For the lead of the 310s, it's Paul Setti that goes through into the lead of the 310s at the wheel of his Dayglow green car, through and ahead of David Yates, followed by then James Wingfield. I'm just going to have a look to see who's leading the 270s in the early stages. And the 270s, there aren't many of them, but that is being led by the man who won it earlier on today. James McCullough leads the 270s at the end of the first lap of racing. Now our pole sitter, Stuart Calder, is getting picked off now by some of the quicker cars coming through. He's just been picked off by Luke Bennett on that occasion. There's Mark Stansfield at the wheel of the number 19 car. So he gained 12 places on the first lap, and Mark Stansfield this time gains another 3. He's up to 5th position from 20th on the grid, and we've done 2 laps of racing. So it's been a great drive from him so far. Lewis Tootle sticking his elbows out, trying to see if he can muster his way through and past Tom Heyman Joyce, the 2 very similarly coloured light green and black cars. Tom Greensall is trying to hang on to the place from Adam White. So that will be 3rd and 4th places that are all there together. But the lead of the 310s has swapped again. It was Paul Setti, wasn't it, for a period of time? It's gone back to David Yates again once more. So it's David Yates that leads the way, but straight away under attack from Paul Setti again once more. And it's Paul that goes back through into the lead of the race from David Yates, from James Wingfield, followed then by Jamie Winrow at the wheel of the blue car with the red rollover hoop. Now, I think David Yates might lead again by the time they get down in towards Maggots and Beckett's. And are we going to have some more changes in the order at the sharp end? Well, Mark Stansfield is now trying to work his way past Adam White. If he could do so, that will put him up into 3rd position, because he started this lap in 4th, but he's got through and ahead of Tom Greensall, the number 23 car, losing a place. And Mark Stansfield, is he going to be able to gain another place? He won't do by the time they get towards Abbey. So he'll sit behind Adam White through Abbey and up towards Farm, and his best opportunity is to get the inside line into the braking area for Village and see if he can sneak his way through. Paul Setti in the meantime had retaken the lead of the 310s, but ran a little bit wide coming out of Stowe, which gives David Yates the lead in the 310s. James Wingfield is 2nd, and who's going to be in 3rd? Wheel to wheel for 3rd place. It looks as though it's just going to be Well, not quite Mark Roberts. I thought he'd got the move done there, but Jamie Winrow hangs onto it from Mark Roberts, and Paul Setti, who was leading the 310s a few moments ago, is down into 5th place in the 310s and might drop to 6th if Simon Sharrock can muster anything else out of his car, the pole sitter. So the 310s and the 270 pack just heading through Abbey and up towards Farm. In the meantime, the 410s, the 420s rather, are just threading their way out of the final corner, which is Luffield. Stuart Calder wheel to wheel and into the pit lane. Couldn't quite pick up on the number of that one. Was it Adam White, possibly, who was right up there, that was trundling his way in towards the pit lane? Adam White is showing as having dropped 10 positions on this lap, and yes, it must have been. It looked, I thought it was number 68, but it's 168. Adam White that came into the pit lane. That's huge disappointment for him, because he was certainly showing some good pace in this one, and he's not the only car to head into the pit lane as well, because we've now got a further car coming in, and I think that one, I was going to say, is one again that we'll pick up on. That was, I think, Bennett, wasn't it? It looked like Luke Bennett's car, possibly. So on to the Hanger Straight. Ross Ollivant was looking to make progress there. He started off the back of the grid. For the 310s at the moment, no longer is it David Yates, it is James Wingfield, the race winner from earlier on today, that has picked up the lead of the 310s, and he's brought David Yates with him, so they've had a little break away at the moment. Yeah, it was Ross Ollivant that was gaining a place. He took a place over the spearmint coloured car. So that was Matt Drew that he threaded his way through and past. But he had the first 10 minutes of the race. Good battle still with Stuart Calder. The number 82 car that started on the front row of the grid is now in 8th place. And he's desperately working hard to hang on to it, as being pushed down the pit lane, I'm afraid, is Adam White. Such a shame for him. So right at the sharp end of the order, but out of the race, sadly. So on to the Hanger Straight come the lead pack of 420s. Anthony Barnes looking to try and break away. Mark Stansfield's locking the brake in 2nd place as he tries to carve his way through and past Ben Winrow. Can he make it stick? No, because Ben has the inside line as they head round through Luffield. So the number 124 car of Ben Winrow still hangs on to 2nd place. Mark Stansfield from 20th on the grid there in 3rd place. Should get the toe this time as they head over the National Pit Straight. He's on the outside line for Copps, but goes through. So up to 2nd for Mark Stansfield for the moment. Tim Steele at the wheel of his number 53 car is embroiled in a really good battle, and all of a sudden I think misses a gear there coming out of Aintree Corner, so that drops into the tail end. You can just hear the engine note just change as though he'd hooked the wrong gear up. And just as he was looking to gain a place, he's gone and lost a couple, I'm afraid, as a result of that. So back to what's going on in the 310s. We'll pick up on the 270s again before too much longer. The lead two had broken away, hadn't they? But Paul Setti is starting to close in on them again once more. So it's David Yates from James Wingfield from the green car, which will be Paul Setti. There goes James Wingfield, car number 113, the red car with the Dayglow yellow rollover hoop, and he might be back in the lead of the 310s by the time they head up towards Copps Corner. So David Yates will let him go. And as for who is leading the 270s again, let's just have a quick look through. You have to look all the way down to 36th position in this race. James McCullough still leads the 270s, but not by much, actually. He's only just ahead in the 270s from Jonathan Moore. So they're having a good little battle, those two. There was just 0.4 of a second that was separating the pair of them last time they came over the start-finish line. So we have 3 main classes. We then also have the sportsman class, which is for the less experienced drivers, as agreed by the organisers. So it's 3 main classes, largely 420s and 310s, a scattering of 270s in there. But then we have the subcategories for the less experienced drivers. Leading the sportsman category at the moment, in the 420s at least, is the car that's running 4th overall, which is Tom Greensall. So top 3 seem to have just got enough daylight between them all so that they are not getting a great deal of tow from the car ahead of them. So Slipstream probably about a second is where you'll pick it up. Well, it's about 0.9 of a second. The gap is first to second, and a similar gap back from second to third. Mark Stansfield with the fastest lap of the race. That potentially would net him the additional championship point. He sits there in third place. He did a 1 minute 22.062 last time through, which was on lap number 4. They're about to complete lap number 5 and head over the start-finish line with around about half of the race still to go. Russ Oliphant with his hands very full indeed. He's got Richard Borton right behind him. We've also got Gary Tootle trying to throw it up the inside and getting through and ahead there of Stuart Calder. So that will be Gary Tootle now up into 7th place. Stuart Calder drops to 8th at the wheel of the number 82 car with its red and gold livery. And then we've also still got Tom Heyman-Joyce and Lewis Tootle fighting away. Lewis Tootle is the first of the light green cars. And then Tom Heyman-Joyce is, as you can see, absolutely in his wheel tracks. So onto the hanger straight, they all thread their way. Lewis Tootle tried to get a toe off the car ahead, which is going to be the car of Tom Greensall. He really does close up on Tom Greensall as they head up towards Stowe this time through, but he's too far back to capitalise on the opportunity to gain a place. He's also conscious that Tom Heyman-Joyce is right with him, but Lewis Tootle, a good run through Stowe, gets himself ahead of Tom Greensall. Tom Greensall has the inside line, though, as they head in towards the braking area for Club. So it's still Greensall from Tootle from Heyman-Joyce in this good fight that we've got going on for 4th, 5th and 6th currently. But it does mean that now they're squabbling, now losing time to the cars ahead. Right, Tom Heyman-Joyce jinks out of the slipstream of Lewis Tootle, looks for the inside line as head up towards Abbey, can't make it stick. Lewis Tootle, a good run through Abbey, gives him an opportunity to try and attack in towards the braking area for Village Corner. He's looking up the inside of Tom Greensall. The door isn't quite open, he's a bit too far away, so it still doesn't change. It's still Tom Greensall hanging on to 4th, despite everything that Lewis Tootle and Tom Heyman-Joyce have done as yet. The order still remains the same between this trio. 11 minutes to go. 6 laps about to be completed by the race leader. For the lead of the 310s, David Yates, followed by James Wingfield and Paul Setti. Now, it all went wrong, didn't it, on the final lap of the 310s last time through, because David Yates, Paul Setti and I think AN Other all tangled. They all managed to recover, but lost ground. Now, this time through, David Yates would like to try and convert it to a race win if he can. Now, he has had 2 wins so far this season. The red car with its Dayglow yellow wheels and rollover hoop, James Wingfield, has now got 3 as a result of that race win earlier on today. Paul Setti so far this season. I don't think we've seen a great deal of him on the podium. No, he's had a 4th, a 5th and a 6th as his best so far. So this could be the best result for the Dayglow green car of Paul so far this season. So through the left-hand flick at Aintree. Keep an eye in the mirror though, because if they all start to squabble, it might just bring the 4th place car in the 310s into the mix, which is going to be Jamie Winrow. Right, that's a change for order. Tom Greensall has now lost out. The car that's gone through and ahead of him is Lewis Tootle. He's now got another light green car behind him, which will be Tom Heyman-Joyce. And Tom Heyman-Joyce is trying to weave one way and the other to try and defend his position as well. Tom Heyman-Joyce, I think, will just about hang on to it. It's Adam White that's behind him, who came into the pit lane, so he's running a little bit out of position, really. So he's arguably one of the quick cars, but he is not on the lead lap anymore. So Tom Heyman-Joyce up the inside of Lewis Tootle, grabs the place away. So that's changed the order for the 2 light green cars now. Not easy to tell them apart, really, is it? But Tom Heyman-Joyce has got the green rollover hoop. For Anthony Barnes, well, he was leading the race reasonably comfortably. Look at the pressure now that Mark Stansfield is putting him under. Bear in mind that these 2 cars that are fighting for the lead overall of the race, Anthony Barnes won the race earlier on, so of course the top 10 get reversed. He had to start from 10th. Who's right with him? The car that started from 20th in this race, because he retired whilst running in 3rd place earlier on today. It's been a great drive back through the order for Mark Stansfield. And is he going to pick up the lead of the race as they head on the Wellington Straight this time through? He's got the inside line at Brooklands. I think he's got his nose ahead. And Mark Stansfield is not quite going to pick it up, because braving out on the outside at Brooklands is the race 1 winner. And I think Anthony Barnes, through Luffield, has the inside line. He will hang on to the lead of the race. So out of Luffield, how long have we got on the clock? 8 minutes still to go of this one. So it's 2 for the lead. Don't rule out the fact that Ben Winrow in third place will catch up, because they're certainly rolling their sleeves up now, aren't they? And slugging it out like a couple of prize fighters. For the 310s in the meantime, it was a 3-car train for the lead. Make that a 4-car train, because now the other member of the Winrow family, Jamie Winrow, has joined in as well. So his brother Ben races in the 420s. Jamie's in the 310s, running now in 4th place. So it's Paul Setti from David Yates, from James Wingfield, from James Winrow, the top 4 in 310. And these cars are something like 18th, 19th, 20th and 21st overall. For the lead of the race, though, Anthony Barnes, I don't think we'll lead it by the time they get up towards Stowe Corner, because Mark Stansfield jinks out of the slipstream, draws himself alongside. No, Anthony Barnes is not having it. They're not working together. You would think they would for the lead of the race, because they could just then keep at arm's length Ben Winrow, and then it would just be the 2 of them that could work out who wants to stand on the top step of the podium. But neither want to give an inch at this stage, which means that Ben Winrow in 3rd place is going to close in. He wasn't quicker than them on the last lap, but I think he will be this time through. Lapping about 2:23, 2:24. So you can see Ben Winrow closing in all of the time. He did run a little bit wide, though, coming out of Copse last time through. But it's still Anthony Barnes that does not want to relinquish the lead of the race. Mark Stansfield still with him in 2nd place, has another little look, takes a tighter line in towards the braking area for Village, but Anthony Barnes covers that off again, up towards the loop. Again, critical to get the good exit out of there. Slightly better line from Mark Stansfield, but the car sort of slid sideways a little bit at corner exit from him. Has he got the momentum as they come onto the Wellington straight this time through? Straight away, Anthony Barnes goes to the left-hand side of the circuit to protect the inside line as they head up towards Brooklands. So Mark Stansfield is going to have to try the outside line at Brooklands if he wants to make it stick, but no, for the moment, tucks himself back behind the race leader. Sits there in 2nd, 6 minutes to go, 8 laps about to be completed. Fastest lap of the race that we've had is for Luke Bennett, who brought his car into the pit lane with some sort of problem, the number 114 car. So he is running down in 33rd position at the moment, but has just set a 1 minute 21.651 as the fastest lap of the race. So whatever was wrong with the car that brought him into the pits in the first place, I think that certainly tells you that it's been cured. So back to the 310s, and Paul Setti, David Yates, James Wingfield, followed by James Winrow, and guess what? So let's add another one in now, because Mark Roberts wants in on the fun as well. So it's now 5 cars for the lead of 310s at this stage. They're just heading out of the loop and on towards the Wellington straight. 1.6 litre engine, manual gearbox in these cars, whereas it's a 2 litre semi-automatic gearbox, a Sadav gearbox for the 420s, which are side by side for the lead of the race, heading up towards Stowe Corner. And Mark Stansfield tries the outside line at Stowe. That would net in the inside line when they head in towards the braking area for Club. Can Anthony Barnes cover him off, or might Mark Stansfield finally pick up the lead of the race? I think Stansfield goes through, yeah, on the brakes in towards Club. Mark Stansfield from 20th position on the grid now finally picks up the lead of the race, but instantly finds himself back under pressure from Anthony Barnes, who is firmly in the slipstream as they head onto the Hamilton straight. But he's not going to try anything up towards the kink at Abbey, which must be pretty much flat. A slight lift in these cars, but not a great deal else, I would have thought. And then you'll be flat out through Farm and get the car all the way over to the left-hand side of the circuit if you can, to take a nice wide sweep in towards Village. So Stansfield leads. Took him a while, but he's finally picked up the lead of the race. Remember, he's not had a race win so far this season, Mark Stansfield. He's had a couple of seconds, he's had a third, he's had a fourth, he's had a fifth. He's been consistent, finished in the top 5 in every race so far, barring the race earlier on today where he retired, unfortunately. But he can count that as one of his 2 drop scores in the championship. But Barnes goes back up the inside, heading in towards Brooklands. Anthony Barnes back up the inside. Stansfield braves it out round the outside line to get the inside line again when they head towards Luffield. They squeeze each other, but Mark Stansfield will still hang on for the moment the lead of the race. But coming out of Luffield, it's a better run coming out of the corner for Anthony Barnes, and this might be almost a dress rehearsal for the sprint to the line. As they come over the start-finish line this time through, they were absolutely together. 16 one-thousandths of a second separated the pair of them. Anthony Barnes leads though as they head round through Copse Corner with 3 minutes to go, so they're on their penultimate lap of the race this time through. So I think that was a dress rehearsal for what might happen on the final lap. I said, I think, at the first race of the day that sometimes it's the sprint to the line coming out of the final corner that makes the difference. And well, now they've not only got each other to worry about, they've got a bit of traffic to worry about, because they're catching some of the 270s and 310s. So out of Chapel onto the Hanger Straight. Cars that they're trying to lap are having their own little squabble at this stage. They don't want to buy into it, just make sure they move out of harm's way. And that was good driving from Jonathan Moore, who saw them coming, and the other car that he was doing battle with. So through Stowe Corner, tighter exit for Mark Stansfield to try and get his nose ahead, but Anthony Barnes is there when they get in towards the braking area for Club, and still hangs on to the lead of the race, or does he? Because through the first aspect of Club he adds the inside line. For the second aspect of it, Stansfield's got the inside line. It's a big long sweeping second aspect all the way through the right-hander, but with better momentum on the outside line. Anthony Barnes just has his nose ahead on the exit of Club. They're still side by side, and finally Mark Stansfield thinks, hang on a minute, I'll tuck him behind, I'll get the toe, I'll hang on to second for the moment. We've still got one more lap after this one where we can properly slug it out for the lead. Now I'm surprised that with these two squabbling as much as they have been, that we've not had the car of Ben Winrow close in a little bit more. He is still 3.4 seconds adrift of them. Back to the 310s and what's going on. Well, we've still got 5 cars battling for the lead of the 310s. Paul Setti gets a little bit sideways in the lead of the 310s. That will allow James Wingfield to close. James Winrow is next up, but he's under pressure from David Yates. Then it's going to be Mark Roberts in the 33 that's at the tail end of that little train, and they've also got some traffic to deal with before too much longer. And I think that will be the car of Merton Wood, who is a driver who's been really successful in the 270s so far this season, but hasn't quite had the pace here at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit he's usually had. Right, on to the final lap of the race. Go the overall race leaders. Anthony Barnes still leading the way. Mark Stansfield might just have his nose ahead when they get towards Copse Corner. They go through Copse Corner absolutely together. Stansfield on the outside line sweeps through and picks up the lead of the race in the early stages of what is the final lap. Anthony Barnes looking to try and make it 2 wins here today. Mark Stansfield looking to try and scoop up his first win of the season. So through Maggots, through Beckett, through the final right-hand aspect of Beckett. Mark Stansfield knows that he's a bit of a sitting duck when it comes to the Hanger Straight, because all he's going to do is create that big hole in the air for Anthony Barnes to draft his way by. But Mark Stansfield also knows that then he will have the opportunity to sit in the toe as they head onto the Wellington Straight. So there's still, I would say, at least an overtake or 2 in this one for the lead of the race. Clock's pretty much at 0, which confirms the checker flag will be out at the end of this lap. The leading pair head out of Stowe. Anthony Barnes, I would say, has led more laps than anybody. Mark Stansfield brakes as late as he can, takes a nice late turn in, a really late apex for the first part of Club to try and build momentum on the exit of the corner. They're just heading now past the wing and onto the International Pit Straight, the Lewis Hamilton Straight, with Anthony Barnes still leading the way. And Mark Stansfield, is he going to have a quick nibble? He jinks out from behind. He's got the inside line for Abbey, but he can't quite make it stick there. Anthony Barnes still hangs on to the lead through Abbey and through Farm. And now Mark Stansfield, the result of trying that, is a little bit further away to try anything when they're coming towards the braking area for Village. So he really needs to concentrate his exit coming out of the loop to see whether he can get a toe down the Wellington Straight. And if he can't get the lead there, then it can only be the charge to the line if Mark Stansfield wants to try and scoop up his first win of the season. Out of Aintree Corners, a bit of traffic just up the road, but I don't quite think they're going to catch it before the end of the lap. And as they head up towards Brooklands for the final time, Mark Stansfield again is just too far away. He's not going to be able to make it stick. So through Brooklands up towards Luffield, Anthony Barnes just needs to position his car now to make it difficult for Mark Stansfield to get the switch back, but the door is open and Mark Stansfield gets the switch back midway through Luffield Corner, and on the charge to the line they are absolutely together. It looks so Anthony Barnes has a tiny bit more momentum all the way around the outside at Woodcote Corner. They do meet the back marker, and by well, thousandths of a second, 38 thousandths of a second. Anthony Barnes picks up the win in the 7th round of the Macmillan 7 Racing UK Championship in the 420R category. What's going on in the 310s, of course, because they still have the best part of half a lap to go. It's Paul Setti that leads the 310s from David Yates, and then it's the two Jameses, Wingfield and Winrow, that are fighting it out for the final podium spot in the 310s at the moment. They're not that far away, though, from the leading pair, and right behind them is Mark Roberts. So we haven't quite got 5 for the lead in the 310s. The top 2 have just broken away very slightly as they head in towards Village for the final time. And for Paul Setti, he would be delighted if he could grab that win. Spin late on for Simon White. That's going to be him on the grass at the final corner. Should fire it up and get going again. He's out of harm's way. Shouldn't worry them anything other than just localised yellows. But for Paul Setti, if he wants the win, he's got to defend. He pulls all the way over to the far left-hand side of the circuit, almost onto the white line on the left-hand side of the circuit to prevent David Yates from picking up the lead of the race. But Yates has more momentum and sweeps around the outside. He just got the job done when they got towards the braking area in the apex for Brooklands. So David Yates, twice a race winner so far this year, has taken the lead at the penultimate corner honours, you could argue, in this one. And on the charge to the line, is Paul Setti going to get a run towards him? Ben Winrow all through the gravel trap at the final corner, drops to 5th, but the win in the 310s is going to just go. In fact, that's nearly a dead heat as well as they came over the start-finish line, and it is going to be by 6 1,000ths of a second a win for David Yates from Paul Setti in the 310s. So the overall race win and the 420s separated by 38 thousandths. The win in the 310s separated by 6 1,000ths of a second. That is typical Caterham racing. You never know. It's usually the run to the flag that decides it. And yet again, that is why so many drivers, year after year after year, just keep going back to Caterham racing. It provides a real bang for your buck. And it's like a game of chess, really, or like a game of poker. You don't show your hand until you need to. As long as you are in the main pack and getting in the toe of everybody, so that you get that slipstream effect, that is what brings you the results. And what a brilliant couple of races we've had from the Sevens Racing UK Championship. We'll shortly be able to, I think, guide you through the results. A few more cars just to flash their way over the start-finish line, and then I think we'll be done and dusted. Jonathan Moore, who had that spin on the previous lap, has recovered. He's just threading his way out and over the start-finish line. And then once everybody is through, the checkered flag could be withdrawn. All of the cars will go back into the paddock area. They had a good social night yesterday as well, the Sevens Racing UK Championship. A hog roast, a few beers were put on for them because they didn't race yesterday, they just qualified. And as ever, the social side of racing is hugely important. Let's confirm the results for you then for the 9th round of the championship here at Silverstone before all of the cars go to Alton Park. Anthony Barnes claims the win, but only just from Mark Stansfield, with Ben Winrow there in 3rd place, and it's going to be Tom Greensall in 4th place. Lewis Tootle, Tom Heyman-Joyce, Stuart Calder were next up, followed by the next member of the Tootle family, which was Gary Tootle, and then it was the number 25 car that was next up of Matt Drew, who made good progress on where he started on the grid. Ian Cowley completed the top 10. Then as we move outside of the top 10, it was Matt Reeve who was next up, ahead of Ross Olivant, and then it was Broughton, Watts, Fernandez, and Ian Noble completed the top 16. David Yates was the winner of the 310s, so that will please him and Matt Blythe Motorsport, but only just 6 1,000ths of a second from Paul Setti as they finished in 17th and 18th respectively, and 19th, 3rd of the 310s home was James Wingfield, but again only just ahead of Mark Roberts. Then it was Jamie Winrow that was next up, followed by the car of May, Smith, Sharrock, Bennett, and Rob Good was there in 26th position. Then it was Quarrendon, Riddington, Higginbottom and Styring that completed the top 30. I won't guide you through all the rest of them, but the important car that we need to pick out is the winner of the 270s, and that went the way of number 147 that was the first of the 270s home by the look of things, and that was the car of Jonathan Moore, had the spin. So he'll be pleased that even with the spin, I think he came home first of the 270s. So that's it. That's all of our Sevens Racing Championship here at Silverstone. We will look forward to seeing the cars back out on track on the 7th of September at Alton Park. But from everybody here at Silverstone, thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the racing. See you soon. Bye.